What's up, guys? This is Ideas of Ice and Fire, and this is my Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 7 review. First up, we have the show's answer to The Quiet Isle from the books. This opening scene was beautiful. I love the scenery, I love the music. It reminded me of the first scene from The Fellowship of the Ring. Everyone's working together, everyone seems happy. We find out that this is where the Hound has been the entire time. He was rescued by this guy who is the show's equivalent to the elder brother from the books. Now, this guy saves the Hound from near death in both versions of the story, but in the books he takes him to the Quiet Isle where the Hound becomes a silent gravedigger, and in the show the Hound becomes a part of this pacifist community. What I thought was really tragic about this whole thing was that these people thought they may have found a place that was free from the cruelty of the world and the greed of men and the evil of men, but really no matter how hard they tried to treat each other well and to look out for each other and to work together, there are always people on the outside who don't care and just want what they have. Sadly, this is the reality of it all, and the Hound has always seen the world for what it really is, and I think that for a while he was trying to convince himself that it could work, but deep down he knew it couldn't last, and in the end, when he sees that all of it was basically for nothing, them trying to build a community and create something good led to the death of all of them. So I assume that he's going after the Brotherhood, which seems like a suicide mission, but at this point I don't think he cares. Nothing in the world matters to the Hound more at this point than revenge. I will admit that due to my distaste for Marjorie's character in the show, I may have underestimated her because my eyes glaze over whenever she's on screen, but I must say that she's good at playing the game. She's very intelligent, but she's not more intelligent than the High Sparrow, and he knows that she's not truly pious, and she knows that he knows, and that's why she knew to take it as a threat when he mentioned Olenna. He was basically telling her that either Olenna leaves or we're going to either imprison her or perhaps even worse. So Marjorie warns Olenna to get out of the city, and it's a sad a little that Olenna is leaving King's Landing. It's so empty now. Varys is gone, Littlefinger is gone, there's no Joffrey, there's no Tyrion, there's no Robert Baratheon. Cersei is carrying it for me, but also it's so sad to see Cersei the way she is now because I can only imagine how alone she must feel. I feel alone just watching her slowly grasping for power. It was pretty cool, though, to see the Queen of Thorns lay into Cersei a little bit. I mean, I like Cersei, but it is all her fault from the beginning. It all traces back to Cersei's incompetence. But at the same time, this scene makes me think even more that Cersei will soon be setting King's Landing on fire. Olenna says to her, "You can't kill them all." Oh, but she could if she used wildfire, which, as I will remind you guys, is hidden all around the city. Cersei could set fire to the Sept in an attempt to kill the High Sparrow and end up setting off a chain reaction from the wildfire stored somewhere underneath the city, and that could be exactly what Bran's vision is referencing. Plus, you remember back to Season 2 of Game of Thrones when Dany enters the House of the Undying, she sees the Red Keep and the throne room all burned down and covered in ash and snow. That seems like a pretty big hint to me that King's Landing will burn. For some reason, the show decided to bring back Bronn. I was tired of Bronn by Season 3, honestly, but he goes with Jaime to River Run, which looks amazing by the way, a little different than how I remember it looking in Season 3, but it does look great. We see the Blackfish again. He is determined to hold River Run. He would rather die than surrender. Now he claims to have 2 years of food supplies, but who knows how true that actually is. But what is true is if Jaime's men attempt to storm the castle, then a very large amount of people will die, and that's the moral dilemma here. Is it worth it? Why should all these people have to die over something so relatively trivial? I can understand Blackfish's motivations, but I can't help but think that if he really cared about his people, he would surrender. The Arya scene was a pretty cool one to watch and pretty nerve-wracking actually. After I watched it a couple times though, a few things stood out as being a little weird to me. Arya is walking around in broad daylight, not even trying to hide. She should have known that the Faceless Man would be looking for her. And I must say, using the sweet old lady trick, or as I like to call it, the Snow White Evil Queen Hoodwink, or the SWEQH, was super predictable. Never trust an old woman creeping out of a dark archway. What I assumed happened here is that Arya experienced some kind of adrenaline rush because she got stabbed a bunch of times, but she still manages to overpower the waif and escape. So hopefully someone will decide to help her as she walks down the street like a wounded puppy. I mean, everyone is just staring, so I hope someone helps, please, because I don't want Arya to die, so someone help. The Jon Snow stuff was filler, but there were also some good moments that I enjoyed. I enjoyed seeing Lyanna Mormont. She was awesome, exactly the way the heir to Bear Island should behave. The reason that I think they believed Davos when he mentioned the White Walkers is because GR probably wrote to his families about what was going on north of the Wall. I thought it was really funny at the end when they revealed that they only can offer 60 men. That was really funny. Bear Island looked beautiful. I feel like it would be a nice place to live. Another part of Jon and Sansa that I enjoyed was their visit to Deepwood Motte, where Lord Glover basically tells them to screw off. Truth be told, Robb did kind of screw everyone over by marrying Talisa. It was a major mistake and one that probably cost him the war. So out of desperation, Sansa decides to write a letter that can be to none other than Littlefinger, who's in the Eyrie. So she's probably petitioning him for help against the Boltons. So we will see how that plays out in the future episodes. Hopefully he will come and help Jon Snow and the Wildlings and all of them fight the Boltons. So hopefully that happens. As for Theon and Yara, their short scene confirmed my belief that they would be taking the role more or less of Victarion from the books. They are going to find Daenerys Targaryen and make a pact with her. I assume they're going to offer her ships in order to get to Westeros, and maybe even help her fight the Lannisters or whoever will be in power in King's Landing, in exchange for her helping them defeat Euron and take back the Iron Islands. So we will see how that plays out. I assume that she would agree to something like this unless a better deal comes along, but I don't see why she wouldn't agree because all of her ships have been burned. And I don't know if Euron is going to have time to build 1,000 ships, because that seems like it's going to take months and months of labor, and they're going to have to find a bunch of wood, and they're going to need a lot of manpower to build 1,000 ships. That's not just something that you do. I remember in A Feast for Crows, Cersei is building like less than 10 ships, I think, and it takes forever to get those ships built, and that's with all the money and the power of the crown, you know? I mean, Euron's plan was already a little bit shaky. He's like, I'm just gonna go to Meereen, and Daenerys Targaryen is just gonna want to marry me, and I don't know why she wouldn't just kill you and just take what you have and, you know, pay the iron price, because that seems like something that she would do. I don't know, Euron, I think you're underestimating the Mother of Dragons a little bit. But with Theon and Yara, as long as they're not saying you have to marry one of us, and they're just saying, okay, we'll help you if you help us, then I think there's no reason she shouldn't accept that. I feel like it's a fair trade. As for my highlights for this episode, I did enjoy the Hound scenes. I think that it demonstrated pretty well the horror of their society. It was nice to see Riverrun and the return of the Blackfish. The actor that plays him is great, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how Jaime is going to deal with this situation. The rest of the episode, however, wasn't that great to me. Jon and Sansa was filler pretty much. It could have all happened off screen and everything would have been fine. The Arya scene was a little unrealistic for my taste. It seemed from the last episode that she was preparing herself to be hunted. She knew that the waif was coming and she knew that she had to be ready. But in this episode, she's completely off guard and just staring off into the distance. I don't know. This episode wasn't bad for me. It was just meh. So that's what I'll rate it. I'll give this episode a meh out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more ideas of Ice and Fire.